Thank you. So we're going to stay on the topic of fast-moving consumer goods and food, and again, hear from some more practitioners. So we're honored to welcome Christelle Adam, who's a Consumer and Culinary Experience Director at Kraft Heinz, Binit Kumar, who's the Assistant General Manager and Category Head of Oral Care at Dabur India, one of the leading fast-moving consumer goods brands in South Asia, and from V. Ramanathan, who's a CMI Senior Manager at Unilever.
They will share their perspective and experience on an exciting topic, navigating moment of truth, how behavioral science boosts FMCG performance. Richard, over to you, and if you want to ask questions, remember you could use a chat.
I'm super honored to have today like 3 guest speakers from 3 different places in the world to talk about the 3 moments of truth. So we today have from Netherlands, we have Christelle Adam, who is joining us. From India, we have Binit Kumar. And from Singapore, we have Ramanathan, who will discuss the 3 moments of truth. For those who are not familiar with FMCG, this is an expression that expresses the journey of the consumer. So the first moment of truth is when a consumer enters the stores and the shopper picks a product from the shelf. So how do behavioral science help in making that successful for marketers is one big question. The second moment of truth is what happens at home when you want to delight the consumers so that they are loyal to your brand. And finally, we will discuss the last moments of truth, which is more about advertising. How do you build brands and activations that actually makes your consumer prefer your brands against competition? So for these 3 big questions, I will start directing the first one to Binit Kumar. He manages a big brand, a leading company in India called Dabur, and I would like you, and he's also a big fan of how brand grows. He's studied with many of the famous people he will talk about now, but I would like to direct the first question with Binit. You know how behavioral science and maybe marketing science can help marketers. Can you give us some examples on how that works for the shopper, for example?
Sure. Thanks, Richard. So as per me, behavioral science and marketing science are very much related. They both work towards influencing human behavior. Now, from a shopper perspective, there are 2 shopper psychology principles that come into play, which help shopper navigate the shelf much faster. The first one is shopper have limited ability to focus, and shoppers deselect before selecting the brand. Now, these are the very, very 2 important laws with which shopper decide about going into the store. Let's do an exercise to see how this can come alive. Okay, yeah, here it is.
Hey, sorry, you
great.
can go.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So now, so please select a film you'd like to watch.
Okay.
Can I move to the next slide?
Yeah, please.
Now select a film you would like to watch. Now, in the second scenario, you suddenly would realize that it has become so much simpler for a consumer to decide about what to choose. Now, similarly, in the store, you have, there are companies which do beautiful things like creating a brand blog or creating a planogramming. That is what makes consumer decide about buying anything very fast. This also ties into the marketing science, which talks about strong physical availability, which is all about having the right presence of the product, having the right SKU, which will serve the need of the product, and the most importantly, the prominence on the shelf, wherein the brands need to talk to the consumers and disrupt their autopilot mode. And probably that is the reason beautifully how behavioral science and marketing science can come together and solve a shopper problem.
Excellent. So now I can feel myself into the front of a shelf. But when we're not in the shelf, like how do laws of behavior help prefer or choose brands? Like how can you use behavioral science to make your brand chosen against competition?
Sure. So here I think consumers are not rational. Most of the times they are either rationalizing or they are relative beings. And when you talk about relative beings, it's more about how a context will come in play in terms of their decision interface. Now, one of the behavioral science principle which is there, which is consumers connect to what they know. And we would see that through an exercise which will come just to your screen. Yeah.
This is it.
Name the city. Now let's move to the next slide.
Ta-da. Very, very.
Now name the city. Move to the next slide. We'll do it one more. Name the city. Tough, huh?
Tougher.
Now name the city. Now, so basically what we have seen is that when we are presenting information in a way in which either we are doing it through anchoring or any other way, we are making it easy for consumers to pick and decide. Now, from a marketing point of view, let us take an occasion like a breakfast. So I have no time to make breakfast. I might go for a cup noodle or a Maggie. Yesterday I had a great party. Today in the morning I'm feeling very healthy. I might have a Kellogg and a muesli. I am on a trip for my lifetime. I would want to have a pancake with a maple syrup. Now, one occasion, which is breakfast, there are various contexts that gets evoked. And depending upon these contexts, the brands get evoked simultaneously. As a result, any marketeer or any brand custodian, they need to understand which are these category entry points which invoke their brand and work towards creating those memory structures around these category entry points. And as a result of that, they are able to make the judgment of, picking up the products or the categories for themselves.
And I picked the city I know the most. One of them actually has a lot of meaning for me. I've spent some time there. So thank you very much. I have another question just for you. We've talked about choosing product, choosing brands. What about new products? Like, does behavioral science help in winning with new products? Do you have any insights to share?
Yeah. So we know, of course, from our experience that a large number of new products or new line extensions are not a success. There are a lot of challenges which new brands, face in terms of sustenance. Now, one of the examples which I would want to give you from a wonderful company called Colgate, which has a strong mental and physical availability. But the Colgate Sensitive, the line extension which they have launched, has not really, flying off the shelf. Now, why Colgate Sensitive could not do well? Now, it's a consulting problem. From a marketing and a behavioral science perspective, there is a solution. And to answer this question, let me call Professor Byron Sharp and Rory Sutherland. No, they're not coming. They're coming inside me. So I'm going to talk more about from both the lens of marketing science and behavioral science, that why it has not worked. So from Professor Byron's point of view, the first law which says that most of the triads for any line extensions are going to be the heavy consumers for a parent brand. And if the parent brand consumers are not really satisfied with the line extensions, that is where the trials will not get generated. In the case of Colgate Sensitive, that is what has happened. Now, what a Rory would say, of course, we know about this in behavioral science. This is nothing but familiarity bias. We warm up to things which is more familiar and things which is more closure. He would say, my friend Orlando Wood has given a wonderful term called, fluent innovation, which is about 80% familiar, 20% new. So that was one of the reasons why, it has not worked. The second reason, Professor Byron Sharp says that, there is a law called natural monopoly law. What basically it means that in any category, if there is a large buyer, it monopolizes the light and occasional buyers, which means that in the category of sensitivity, whilst Colgate Sensitive was trying to get its consumers, Sensodyne has, worked to make a massive share. So anyone who's coming into the category, the chances of them trying Sensodyne is much higher than going to any other brand. And that was another reason why it was struggling to, get consumers on the brand. What would Rory say? Of course, this is nothing but social proof. We all know it. We all have used it in our lives. That's how, things work. The third reason why, it could not have worked is because of the way brands and associations get formed into our memory. They form through an associative network theory, with which, let's say, Colgate as a brand has an associations around family, around minty fresh, around a good mouthfeel and things like that. They do not have any association around individual toothpaste. It's around sensitivity, it's around pain relief. Now, any brand, any mother brand, when they are doing any advertisement, they are trying to refresh the memory structures which they currently have, which they have been doing it. If you want to create a separate association, you need to do a lot more to create that journey. Many a times it happens that mother brand, they do not have that kind of bandwidth in terms of moving the money to an NPD, and as a result of that, NPDs always struggle. And that is one of the reasons from a Byron Shah point of view, it has struggled. How would Rory answer it? Brain is a pattern seeking machine. If you give an information which is congruent, it will assimilate. If you give an information which is incongruent, it would reject. And probably that is the reason why it could not work.
Thank you. That's fascinating to see how science insight can be converted into marketing principles. Quite applicable. Thank you very much. So we've covered plenty of areas. I would like to move to the home, to the second moment of truth.